Good night.
Thanks, good evening, and welcome to the Late Look North. Tonight, the rising cost of tackling homelessness across our region. Good evening. Charities in our region say they're seeing increasing numbers of young people and working people who are homeless. And they say they often don't qualify for emergency accommodation. New figures out today suggest it's a growing problem as the cost of living crisis takes hold. From April 2021 to March 22, councils across our region spent £59 million tackling homelessness. Data from this year shows spending has increased to over £67 million from April 22 to March 23. That's a 14% increase in just 1 year. Our reporter NJ Convery has been to see how one charity in Bradford is providing a vital stopgap for those who find themselves on the streets.
Think about homelessness and perhaps this is what you picture. The reality is more complex. According to the Charity Crisis, every night of the year, tens of thousands of people across the UK are experiencing some form of homelessness. People like Ben.
At the start, I found it a bit scared because I'm on the streets.
25 years old and living with a learning disability, last year Ben fell out with his mum and had to leave the family home. With nowhere to go, he was directed to Bradford Night Stop, a youth homelessness charity.
What emotions were you feeling when you find yourself young, on your own and homeless?
When I feel like scared and lost without no one being there. Being on the streets every day in this cold. If it wasn't for Night Stop, I wouldn't have been around here.
That first night, this is where Ben ended up, Night Stop's city centre shelter.
These are for the young people to stay in. They've got a single bed and an ensuite.
Asma is a volunteer here and says demand for services like theirs is rising.
I guess you can say it mirrors the current climate as well as the cost of living crisis, because it is a lot. You do hear the stories, I can't afford the rent. Some actually go to college or they're at university and they don't have anywhere to sleep at night. And a lot of them, they might have a job. One person that we met said that he'd walked miles. So you're talking about the distance between two cities or towns he was walking, and he didn't want to sleep during the night because he felt too unsafe, so he'd sleep during the day.
The unique thing about this charity is they don't just run a shelter, they also put young people up in the homes of volunteers. Dean is one of them.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to give them something to eat and then a shower and then a safe place to sleep, and we can, rest easy that we've kept one person from ending up in that spiral of spending multiple nights on the streets.
It's thanks to people like Dean that life is now looking up for Ben. He's got a job and somewhere to call home.
I think me living in accommodation instead of on the streets, I'm more happy because I'm in a safe place.
Tonight, however, many others will not be so fortunate. NJ Convery, BBC Look North in Bradford.
Up to 750 jobs could go at Leeds City Council as it battles to balance the books next year. The sale of council-owned car parks and the Civic Hall will also be considered at a meeting next week. It comes as the council fears it could be heading for a budget overspend of nearly £30 million for the current financial year. Now, a Just Stop Oil protester who sprayed paint on the Great Hall at the University of Leeds has been arrested on suspicion of criminal damage. The 21-year-old man claimed that the university had been complicit in genocide through its graduate schemes. The university says while they support the right to legal protest, they were hugely disappointed the demonstration had led to vandalism. Now, tributes have been paid to a 29-year-old scientist who has died of cancer. Dr. Kirsty Smitten was a graduate from the University of Sheffield and helped create drugs to tackle antimicrobial resistance and worked on developing a new class of antibiotics. She was diagnosed with a rare form of heart cancer last year. Colleagues described her as the most extraordinary person they had ever met. Now, Light Night has returned to Leeds tonight. Some of the city's most recognisable places have been illuminated with more than 50 art installations. It's the 19th year that Light Night's been running, and this time round the theme is future dreaming, with a series of pieces imagining how Leeds might look in the future, and you can catch it all tomorrow night as well. And congratulations to a remarkable 12-year-old boy from Sheffield who's raised thousands of pounds for charity and has received a National Medal of Honour. Tobias Weller, who has cerebral palsy, was invited to the Palace of Westminster in London to receive the British Citizen Youth Award for services to charity. Captain Tobias has raised more than £150,000 for the Children's Hospital charity. Very well done to him. Right, let's get the weather. Here is Paul Hudson.
Well, thanks so much. Good evening. What a glorious day it's been today, but we've got wet weather on the way through tomorrow before much colder air arrives from the northwest over the weekend. However, it is going to be mainly sunny with a risk of frost at night. So that rain is hurtling in from the southwest. It's really going to turn wet overnight, potentially some heavy bursts in there as well. Extensive mist and fog over the hills, with lowest temperatures coming in at around about 7 or 8 degrees. So for tomorrow then, it's certainly a wet morning with outbreaks of rain. The rain may ease off in southern areas for a time before returning southeastwards through the day. So a clearance coming into most parts of Yorkshire slowly through the afternoon, but it will be a slow process. Temperatures around 14 to 16 degrees. The weekend looks really bright, lots of sunshine, but there'll be a cold wind with a touch of frost at night. And next week looks fine with sunny spells too. That's the forecast.
Right, that's all from us. Dave's back tomorrow morning with your breakfast bulletins, but from all the late team, have a good night. Bye-bye.